In 2019, the City of Toronto published a report. It said the city needed $864 million to fix its housing crisis. The money wasn't there. That same year, the TTC published its own report. Billions needed, decades of deferred maintenance, infrastructure aging faster than it could be replaced. The money wasn't there. Year after year, the same answer, the same wait list, growing longer. The money isn't there. And then, in 2021, a phone rang. Not a city council vote, not a public consultation, not a 10-year plan, just a phone call. And within 18 months, 3 levels of government had found, allocated, and committed $300 million. No vote, no referendum, no wait list, just a decision. The question isn't where the money went. You already know where it went. The question, the one nobody in office wants to answer, is where it came from. Because if it was there all along, what does that say about every year it wasn't? On June 16, 2022, FIFA made it official. Canada, the United States, and Mexico would co-host the 2026 FIFA World Cup. 48 teams, 104 matches, a projected global audience of 5 billion people. Toronto was named a host city. Politicians at podiums, flags, press releases full of phrases like generational opportunity and Canada's moment on the world stage. For about 48 hours, it was purely good news. Then someone looked up FIFA's hosting requirements. Minimum stadium capacity, 45,000 seats. BMO Field seated approximately 28,000. The Gap, 17,000 seats. In a stadium already built, on land in one of the most expensive cities in North America. 2 options: build a brand new stadium from scratch, billions of dollars, a decade of construction, no possible way to meet the 2026 deadline. Or bolt 17,000 extra seats onto the building that already existed. They chose option 2. The price came in at over $300 million, split between the City of Toronto, the Province of Ontario, and the federal government. The same governments that had been explaining for years that meaningful investment in housing and transit required careful, long-term planning. 18 months. That's how long it took to find $300 million for a stadium. And that timeline is what broke something open in this city. Before we go further into the stadium, we need to go somewhere else first. We need to go to the list. Toronto's affordable housing wait list is one of the longest in North America. Over 80,000 households, families, seniors, individuals, all waiting for a home they can afford in the city they already live in. Some categories on that wait list have average wait times of over 10 years. The nurse finishing a night shift at Toronto General, the TTC operator running the streetcar past Exhibition Place, the early childhood educator at the school down the street. People who keep this city functioning, who the city could not operate without. They applied, they qualified, they waited, and they were told the funding simply wasn't available. And then $300 million appeared in 18 months. Councillor Gord Perks did the math publicly. $300 million builds approximately 2,000 affordable housing units in Toronto. 2,000 homes, 2,000 families off that wait list. 2,000 kids with a stable address, which changes everything downstream. School performance, employment, community health, decades of compounding outcomes. The stadium didn't just cost $300 million in construction. It cost 2,000 homes in opportunity. To understand why 3 governments moved this fast, you need to understand who they were moving for. FIFA is projected to generate over $11 billion from the 2026 World Cup. Broadcast rights, sponsorships, licensing, ticket revenue. FIFA keeps most of it. The host cities build the infrastructure, absorb the costs, manage the chaos, and FIFA takes the money. FIFA does not negotiate its requirements. 45,000 seats means 45,000 seats. Their standards, not yours. And if you can't meet them, you don't host. Nobody wants to be the city that was offered the World Cup and said no. So governments say yes, every time, everywhere. And then they find the money. 80,000 households on a housing wait list. Governments called that a long-term strategy. FIFA set a hard deadline. Governments found $300 million in 18 months. Both are emergencies. One got treated like one. By late March 2026, the transformation was complete. BMO Field, now temporarily renamed Toronto Stadium for the duration of the World Cup, had been rebuilt from the ground up around a stadium that was already standing. 17,000 temporary seats added, 10,000 in the north stand, 7,000 in the south. Capacity cleared past FIFA's 45,000 threshold, and the photos that circulated during construction had already done their damage. Because adding 17,000 temporary seats to a stadium designed for 28,000 doesn't mean gentle slopes and comfortable sightlines. It means going wherever engineers can physically attach them, which meant going up, steeply up, at an angle that looked less like stadium seating and more like the world's most terrifying ski jump. Toronto's version of the Ekaterinburg effect, the 2018 World Cup city whose temporary stands were so steep they became a global meme overnight. Fans perched at what looked like a 90-degree angle, staring straight down at the pitch from what felt like the edge of a cliff. Same photos, same disbelief, same viral spread. Engineers came forward. These structures are standard, built to spec, tested, safe. The panic was aesthetic rather than structural. They were right, technically, but the image was already out. And in the age of social media, that's all it takes. Here's where honesty matters. Because not everything that happened at Toronto Stadium is a problem. The permanent upgrades are real. 450 by 30-foot LED boards, new state-of-the-art lighting and sound systems throughout the venue, stadium-wide 5G, AI-powered concessions, a 1,000-capacity rooftop patio with a direct view over the pitch, still there long after every piece of scaffolding comes down. Economic analysts project Toronto's 6 matches will generate between $393 million and $520 million in direct GDP impact. Over 3,500 jobs created. If those numbers land near the upper range, the math works. And the strongest version of the pro-project argument is this. None of those permanent upgrades happen without the World Cup forcing them. BMO Field was undercapitalized for years. The World Cup created the conditions for an upgrade no other mechanism was going to deliver. That argument is real. And here is the honest tension living right next to it. The rooftop patio, the premium lounges, the upgraded VIP areas. These are not features built for the person in Section 113 who has had the same seats for 10 years. They are built for the premium market, the hospitality package buyer, the corporate client. The public paid for the stadium. The premium market gets the best of what was built. The upgrades are real, and the distribution of their benefits is lopsided. That's not a contradiction, that's just what happened. So here's where we land. $300 million found in 18 months for 6 games by the same governments that had been telling 80,000 households for years that the money wasn't available. The World Cup will be spectacular. The upgrades are real. Canada's moment on the global stage is genuinely historic. And none of that makes the question go away. The question isn't whether the stadium is worth it. The question is whether a city can host the world and take care of its own people at the same time. Whether the speed and political will that 3 governments found in 18 months for FIFA can ever be pointed at 80,000 households that have been waiting years. The gamble isn't on the pitch. The gamble is in the years after July 2026, when the scaffolding comes down, the flags get packed away, and Toronto Stadium becomes BMO Field again. A city that used a global spotlight to build something permanent for the people who live here. Or a city that looked world-class for 6 weeks and then went back to the wait list. Was the money always there? Drop it in the comments.